Well, this is the next day, and this fiberglass hardened up good, and I sanded it out a bit so that it's fairly smooth for the adhesive for the vinyl to stick to. And I sanded out all the way around. Everything looks good. I'm gonna do the same with this panel. So I just wanted to kind of see how things were. See how that's folded over in there. That's folded towards the top. This part is what I'm talking about. And just kind of, look it over and see, I can use these old covers as patterns to chop the new stuff, but I gotta drill that and that. These are the snaps, they're riveted in. I had to drill them off this, and they will hold the top boot on. And also this has, I need to put a little resin just around in there. That's not, doesn't appear to be broken. I can't move it at all, but I'm just gonna paint a little resin in around where it looks cracked just to seal it up and strengthen it. And I'm gonna do the same with this one here. This is where, screws go into the side panel, but it doesn't look, I mean, that looks kind of like the way it was made. And so I'm gonna, I don't think that was, there's no way I could push that back out flat without busting it. So I don't think that, and this is pretty rigid fiberglass, so I'm pretty certain that that's the way this was made. It looks like it was made like, like I say, I'd be able to push it back if it was, not originally like that, because there's no pushing that whatsoever. This is really rigid stuff. So I'm just gonna resin those up and call them good. If you're gonna do fiberglassing, just buy these cheap, ultra cheap brushes. I buy them by the box full, 1 and 2 inch. I wouldn't use them for painting because the bristles come out in your paint, but for fiberglassing and working with solvents and just doing different things other than painting, they really do work great. Sanded just a little bit more on the edges where there was some glue, and I re-glued I used this right here to re-glue the batting or whatever you want to call it, where it was peeled in a few spots. So I sprayed it all the way back in here. It was pulled off to about here, and this will bond that really well. And it's not, you don't want to use this isn't like a bonding for this. Use the contact cement for like these joints, but for like that, this is fine. All right, this is gone hard. My fiberglass there, you can see. So I got the seatbelt material, and you can see kind of all the seat belts are kind of really beat down on this car. I was gonna try and clean them up, but they're torn and they're just in rough shape. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just replace the material. You can see this material. I don't know if you can see they're exactly the same thickness, same width, same pattern, everything. And I'm not going to be able to reuse this, no way. And I got to clean that up in there so it works, so that thing turns. Yeah, this is not going to be able to be reused. On these seat belts, see how there's a gap right here, and you lift this to release the coupling. Well, this is the one this is all melted. This was off the right rear, and I assume the muffler had rusted out and was getting the floor pan hot. This was laying down under the back seat when I got the car, and it melted this. And I tried a hair dryer to, without that gap, I can't open this to like unlatch it. So I gotta heat it with the heat gun. A hair dryer just didn't work. I'm gonna try and fold that out just a little bit to where this works, until I can locate another one exactly like it. I've been on the hunt for one just like it, but I've not been successful. So I'm going to just heat it up and try and make it work for now until I find another one, and I'll obviously have to stitch a new belt material, but the ones that aren't damaged, the belt, I might try and clean up. I'm going to try that Gojo trick. Got a Gojo machine right here, so I definitely don't lack Gojo. Little heat did the job on this, so it clips in now, and when I pull it up, well, it was releasing. Maybe I'm just not pulling this. There we go. But it needs cleaning and lubricating, but it was working better a minute ago. I think I can pull it further. It works better, but that's got enough opening in it now to where I can open this up enough to release the seat belt, and that'll work until I find new one. I'm going to blast this so you can see in here. Maybe there's a little where these things are. These are held in here much like the emblems on a car. There's a little burr thing that pushes in here, and then that pin pushes in. And I could take a little punch and a hammer and drive that out, but I'm not going to. There's no point in it. This whole assembly needs to be replaced, so I'll just keep my eye out for another one, and when I find it, I can change it. But in the meantime, the seat belt will work, and that's what's important, right? This is a right rear one. Next thing I need to do is pull this rubber off, and I'm going to unstitch everything, including this, and that way I can figure out exactly, well, I could probably figure out the length without unstitching it, as that's just folded over a few times, and if it's an inch or two one way or the other, longer if anything, won't really matter. So let me see if I can. I'm going to run this through, just this part through the blast cam, and I'm going to put tape on this so I don't damage the finish, but I want to clean that piece up, so I'm going to do that right now. Here's why I wanted to replace all seat belts in the car. That way I can clean up these buckles, and I can get this all that chrome cleaned up. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I can clean it up without, if I can I will, but this I got to clean up because I got to reuse that. That's for this. I got to clean this up. This is behind the seat so you don't see it, so I'll probably just give it a quick bead blast and paint, and that's stitched up really good, just back and forth, no real prettiness to it. But this one is the one that you would see. This is the end that hangs out of there, and that's stitched a little more pretty, so I'll try and stitch those up like that, and I'm going to try and fix this seat belt today, just see how it comes out, seeing I got the stuff. Working on that and the other side panel, which I'll hope to install today. I was just practicing, just seeing if this would hold this seat belt material, and it seems like it will, and I'm just going to try and do a little at a time. This has a servo motor, so I wanted to let's see, I think I'm still, no, I'm just outside of it. Okay, and now I'm going to try and turn it to, and I'm just going to back up as I go here. Let's see, is that about where I want it? You know, I'm not an expert at this, so I'm just kind of horsing with it. Whoops, I think I turned it the wrong way. It definitely holds. Definitely going to do a little more because I want the end that you can see to look neat, and I'm just kind of playing with it right now, and just with some bits. But the part that goes over here, that was just stitched madly like all directions, so that I'm not too worried about. And this goes over this, so I'll have to make sure I put this on. In fact, I think I'll just set these together right now off there so I don't forget. But anyway, I'm going to cut a little more belt off here and see if I can't get this down pat. And I brought my soldering gun out so I can melt the end here so it doesn't fray. But I'm just going to, like I say, I'm just kind of, this is the end that you're going to see, and I want this end to look nice, so I'm just going to do them until I can get it right. And I'm not going to video it all. Well, I don't know if this shows up or not, but this is the original, and this is the one I just did. And you can see it's just comes down, goes back and down, and that's exactly what I did on this one, and it came out really nice. Let me see if I can get a, yeah, I don't know if it's, I can't see in the viewfinder if the stitches show up there. That's kind of what I want it to look like. That's the original stitching. This is what you see. This is the important stitch. That's the one I'm going to do first. That way if I screw it up, I can just snip it off, refold it, and redo it. No big deal. All right, let me try this one. I'm going to melt the edge of this with my soldering gun first so it doesn't fray. Just had to refill the bobbin on it. Just ran out on me. All right, let me get this machine rethreaded up here. So now I got it to where I can get the stitching looking pretty nice, but the stitch length is too long. You can see how big those stitches are compared to the stitches on the original. So I've been playing with the stitch length, and I kind of like, I don't know, maybe a little smaller. You adjust the stitch length with this knob. The smaller the number, the smaller the stitch length. So I'm going to turn it down just a tad, and I might snip off another piece here and just kind of until I get the stitch length to where I like it. That's pretty good, but it's still looks just a tad large, so I'm just gonna fuss with it a bit more. One thing you gotta do is you gotta run the machine backwards a little bit on each way to, at beginning and end like that, to get the stitch. And then I can turn it a little bit, and I'm just gonna use reverse to go back the other way. And I'm just doing this to adjust the stitch length. See how I went back just a smidge there? And then you run the needle all the way up. If the needle's not all the way up, you're not going to get your thread to pull out. That's why I couldn't pull it out earlier. So anyway, now I'm going to compare this stitch length here with this stitch length. And I think that looks pretty, I think it just needs to be a smidge. I think maybe that's too tight. I don't know. That looks pretty good. I think I'm going to leave it right there. And these aren't going to come apart. These, God, I was taking pliers out in the garage to one of these after I sewed it and pulling and tugging, and yeah, it's not going to give out. So this is just this is appearance. This is what lays on the seat. This is this end. This is the end that bolts to the body of the car. You can see where I had to cut it to get this off. So that wasn't too neat. They just kind of ripped it in and out, back and forth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. So we'll do the same, and I think it'll be just fine. But I'm happy with that stitch length, so I'm going to try and attempt number 1. I got to melt the ends of this here with my soldering gun before I try folding it over, and I already fed it through the buckle thing, and then I can cut this off. And the other end, the stitching, if it doesn't look pretty, it doesn't matter because it's behind the seat and got that rubber bit over it where it bolts on. This This is the important one that looks pretty. I want this one to look nice. So let me do some melting here. So I get my soldering gun hot and I just kind of run it down here, and it just kind of folds it over a little bit, melts it up, and this way it won't fray. I'm just barely touching it. I don't want to make a big gloppy mess, and that'll just seal, you know, keep the ends from fraying out. There we go, good enough. And now I'm going to fold it over and hopefully sew it. Now hopefully this turns out. I'm going to try and go slow. This motor, you know, a lot of these walking foots have motors that run full RPM, and you have a clutch and you use your leg to push the clutch to, you know, speed and slow the machine down. Well, I paid the extra for the optional servo motor, and there's the servo motor, and you can adjust the speed so when that pedal's floored you can slow it down, so you know, adjust the speed. And if you had a clutch, you'd have a motor sitting there that runs full RPM with a clutch that runs that belt up to the machine. This is a Juki DNU 1540. And I'll tell you what, it's a pretty nice machine. I really like it. And so anyway, I'm going to attempt to do this. We'll see how many tries it takes to make it look nice. So let me see what we can do here. And just slowly push the pedal, because once it goes, and then I run it backwards. Okay, and I'm going to leave the needle in the material. It looks like I need to go one more stitch. There. I'm going to leave the needle in the material, and I'm going to turn it just enough to where it'll sew back to this corner here. And let's see, I think that's pretty good. I hope so. And then I'm going to run the machine in reverse. There's a handle here. That's reverse, that's forward. So I'm going to just kind of get it there. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to run it in reverse. That looks pretty good. And then I want to run the needle back into the material. Whoops, ran off of it. No big deal. And then I'm going to run the thing like forward here. And I think I'll run it back, seeing I came out of the material a little bit. And then I'm going to put the needle down and see how it looks. That looks pretty darn good. All right, let's get the needle up out of the assembly there and have a look and see what kind of stitch job I did. And I'm totally happy with that. That's going to look fine on the seat. I'm going to trim everything up nice here, and then I'm going to do the other side, and that's not going to go anywhere. So that's one end, and you make sure you do it on the right end. You know, this is the end that lays out on the seat, so that's the coupler end. So definitely make sure you stitch this, otherwise you're going to be trimming it off and redoing it again. But now you can see if I need to replace the seat belts on this car. It's there, that's all trimmed up. I'll trim it a little neater. I'll probably hit some of these with my soldering machine, but I think I'll leave that. That looks good. You know, you start messing with it, try and neaten it up, and then you make it worse. That's going to be fine. Once it gets a little wear on it, it'll be perfect. Now I got to figure out the length I need here, so I'm going to get all these original pieces and put them together. This is even the piece that was in the buckle here, so I can just lay them all out, and then I'll just I'll just fold it over to figure out how much length that was, and we'll get that end stitched up and we'll have a repaired seat belt. So I fed this through. It was originally in the car like this, so this would have been the other way up on the seat. This would have been bolted in the car like so, and so this goes on like so, So I might as well just start. Yeah, if you don't put this in, you'll be re-sewing your belts. But that, I'm gonna take the piece that I cut off to figure out how far to. Just using the old ones, you know, is just kind of a guess. This will be, you know, it'll be within a 1/4 inch of what it originally was, so it'll be perfect and save me having to buy new seat belts. I think this seat belt will be just fine. You know, if I can find a new one, I'll put a new one in, but I'm not too worried about it, how often people will sit in the back seat of this car. I just wanted it to work, so if somebody did, they could put their seat belt on. All right, let me get this piece sewed up. Well, that looks about the same right there as what the original one was, and I'm going to start it right here and try and keep it square here. And then, like I say, Ford wasn't too worried about the appearance, so I'm not going to be too worried about this either. I want it to function. Whoops. I want to put the needle in it to turn it a little bit, and then I'm going to back up on it. Get my scissors here, and it should be done. I don't think that's gonna pull out or go anywhere. I'll clip off the nubbins, and this seat belt's ready for the car, I think. I bought this sewing machine with some of the profit from the Catalina because I wanted to learn how to do, you know, seat upholstery, do all the upholstery work myself, you know, because that's big money, the labor, and like they charged me $3,200 to sew up the seat covers in the Catalina. Well, this was like under $2,000, I think, and or maybe it was $2,200, I don't remember, but it was certainly less than what they charged to reupholster the seats in the Catalina, and they had a machine identical to this, and it had good reviews, and I just thought, you know what, it's one thing I always wanted to learn how to do, is sew upholstery, do upholstery work. So I got some chairs down here I want to upholster and stuff, and just different things. So the machines, I use it actually. I've sewn up covers for generators and welders and my bead blast cabinet, and you know, to keep things clean and nice. I don't want the covers get super nasty. Just make another new one, but who cares if they get nasty if it keeps the equipment clean, right? Anyway, let's get back to other things here on the car. I couldn't be happier the way this came out with this. This one was not repairable. This one was beyond using. As you saw, the material was melted, but these ones are in good shape. See, this bolts into the body like that, so it's facing up, and then these go up over the rear seat. These are both the rear seat belts. But I'm going to try the Gojo trick on this one if it saves me from having to replace the material on it. You know, if there's nothing wrong with it. If it doesn't look as good as this one I'm done, isn't as soft and as nice as this one I'm done, I'll just replace the material on these. These ends have a fancy little thing on the end here to make it look nice. So if I do, you know, the stitching won't have to be so neat, because this is wrapped around and tucked under. This is a separate piece on here altogether, and I could carefully pull that out from under there, get the piece around, you know, put this piece on, sew it around, and then pull this up and put it through. So like I did this, you know, same kind of concept, but you know, it's just to neaten it up. But I'm going to try and clean it. I'm going to clean this buckle first, so if I get stuff on this, it'll clean off. That I'm not too worried about. You don't see any of that. That's, like I say, bolted like so, and then this is, so that doesn't matter. All right, let me Gojo that up and we'll see how it comes out. And like I say, if I don't like it, I'll just do that to all of them. So I got enough material to do all the belts in the whole car. As I remember, a roll of that material was about $14, I think. This is the what it comes in. So it's I don't remember how long it is, but it's enough. I bought enough to do the whole, you know, front and back seats if need be. I got enough left on the other roll to finish the rears, and there's enough there easily to do the fronts. That turned out okay. I'm going to clean up the belt now. I want to get the rear ones, all cleaned up and installed. You know, when I put these panels in here, then I'm going to put the back seat in. And it would be really nice to have the seat belts in so I don't have to pull them out again. So that's kind of why I'm working on them right now, getting them cleaned up. So I'm going to clean this one up, see how it comes out. This is the mate to this one. Well, I have to say, I Gojo'd this up really good, and it's already made. That was as stiff as a board, and it's nice and supple now. So this might work. I'm going to get a brush and some laundry detergent or some dish soap or something and give it a good scrubbing in the laundry tub and see how it comes out. I'm just going to work the Gojo in it a bit more for a while, maybe put some more on it. But I think that's going to totally clean them up. The stuff that's coming off is it's just amazing, the amount of crud that's coming off. It's even cleaning this plastic thing up. You know, I got to get the Gojo all over it too, but I think that's going to do the job. May save me from having to restitch all new seat belts in the car, which would be kind of nice. Wow. Yeah, the Gojo did the job. I took it down in the laundry tub with a brush with the Gojo and brushed the Gojo, worked it around really good in it. And then I used that same soft bristled brush with dish soap. Look at that. I mean, this thing looks as good as this brand new one, and it's nice and supple. It's not all stiff. Before, I swear you could have held the buckle and that would have stayed straight out. They're just unbelievably stiff and super nice. Couldn't be happier. That will save me a lot of work. So I'm going to get all the rear seat belts cleaned up, and if any need, you know, new stuff, I can do that, because that walking foot sewing machine just did a fabulous job of doing these up. A little before, this is the right assembly, and we'll do a little before. Look at how nasty. Look at that. I mean, that's stiff. That's really just absolutely stiff. I mean, look at the new stuff, you know, or the cleaned up stuff. Look at the old original stuff. Yeah, we're going to Gojo and scrub this stuff too. I think this will clean up nice too. Super happy. Couldn't be happier with the way this one came out. I mean, can't get over how that softened up. That was like just nasty like that. I don't even like touching myself after I touch my face, and it just grosses me out. It's so stiff. We're going to get that all cleaned up nice too, like this. Thank you for leaving that in the comment on the Gojo. I don't remember the username, your name there, but thank you. That was a great tip. It works excellent. Definitely Gojo does the job. This is hard to show with my hands covered in Gojo working my camera, but that is already becoming supple. And I'm just working the Gojoing around with my hands and stuff, and before I couldn't even move the belt in this, and I can actually move it now. And I actually slid some of it through to get this was the part that was in the buckle there. Try and get that all clean. So it's definitely, absolutely making these things cleaned up. And I mean, I just slather everything with it and work it and just keep working at it. And it's definitely making a difference. Well, I'm going to have the cleanest hands on the planet, so I'm going to got both those caked and worked really good with Gojo, and I just can't get over that. I'm astounded. So anyway, I'm going to carry these in and clean them up, and the rear seat belts will be ready to go back in. That makes me feel good that I don't have to sew them all up, and I don't have to take the rear seat out again when I do get to them. So this is going to save me a lot of time and working on the car. I'm just thrilled. And I just got the whole buckle, everything on it, and I'll lubricate it when I'm all done cleaning everything up really good. So, just very carefully, lubricate the spring. There's a little spring up in here and mechanism, but yeah, that thing works really nice. The seatbelt pulls through the thing in there. I just can't get over it. These things you saw how stiff that was. This is as supple as this. It just came out, I'm just floored. Really came out good. But anyway, that 68 Ford Country sedan that I showed in my last video, Tim Dolan's car, he sold it today, and really happy for him. I'm glad he sold it. If he hadn't have sold it, probably come late May, early June, I would have bought the car and drove it back. It was just too nice of a car. I mean, I really liked it. I love wagons, and Fords are my favorite wagons, and I love that body style that they used in the mid to late 60s. Just was such a cool looking car. Well, I am going to call the rear seat belts finished. They came out really nice. Totally happy with them. I got to clean the buckle up on this one just a smidge. This is the one that I didn't replace the material on. This is the one that I did. So that's new. That's the old. Yeah, it looks really came out good. So I'll let them hang here. They can dry up nice. They're nice and pliable. This one moves in the buckle now because it's not stiff like, remember how it just stood straight out? That's super nice and pliable now. They cleaned up good. So rear seat belts are done. I can clean the front ones up if there's nothing wrong with them. If there is, I'll replace whatever I need to replace on them. But I couldn't be happier. They came out excellent. I soldered up the wiring connector. This goes the front speaker, that goes the rear speaker, and this goes the radio. I looked at a harness, actually the guy that I got the radio from, and this is basically how it was wired. I looked at it really well. He wouldn't give up the harness because he needs it, so I made mine, but it's identical to the way his was. So I'm going to plug it into the radio and the speaker and make sure if it works, and if it does, I'll tape it up like that and it'll look like a regular wiring harness. So let me see how it goes. Alright, I just put it on accessory. Alright, now remember there's no antenna. That's the front. That's the rear. Actually, I think I got the front and rear reverse because the rear is always playing and the front goes out when I turn it to the rear. So I just got to cut the two wires and resolder them that go to, glad I didn't tape it up, that go to, I drew it out there. So I got to change the white and the green on that connector to the opposites, and it should be good then. I'm going to try it one more time. Alright, again, remember there's no antenna.
Safe, so you don't have to worry about a thing. Karen, we've been over this. Sasquatch is not living in Tampa. Get protection for your connected devices included at no extra cost. Can your internet do that? Get started with Xfinity Internet for $20 a month for 12 months with a 1-year agreement. Or pick a speed that's right for you with options up to 2 gigs. Plus, get advanced security free with the X5 Gateway. Just activate through the Xfinity app. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit
all working exactly the way it should. Those speakers are playing.
Restrictions
sounds
apply. New
good.
performance starter, internet 25 megabits per
Considering
second.
there's no antenna.
Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. After term, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary, not guaranteed.
turn the
Joanne.
tone.
I love the Ronald McDonald House, and you can show your love for it too on March 25th, sponsored by local McDonald's. Two chefs will cook off against each other with
Yeah, it
mystery
sounds good.
McDonald's ingredients. Chef Matt Topa of Shelby in Detroit and Chef Sammy V.
All right, I'm gonna tape that all up nice and neat now, and I don't know if I showed this either, but the 4-ways work. So everything, glove box light works, everything. So all right, I'm gonna wrap that up in a little tape there. There we go, it's all taped up, a harness now. And I looked at it, the original harness that guy had, there was no connector here to the rear speaker. So this wiring was complete from the plug connector, ran all the way through and back to the rear speaker, and the connector's back there. So this is exactly the way Ford's harness was, the best I can figure. So anyway, I'm gonna plug it all in up there and put it up in the dash where it belongs and call the radio wired. Well, I'm out of battery and just about out of memory card, so I'm gonna try and hurry up and get this done before both run out. But anyway, I got a lot done today. I got the seat belts cleaned up, got the radio wired, got this. I glued this, well actually Jeremy glued this and this to kind of get it straight across there. And then we'll let that dry overnight, and then we'll glue the rest up, because that way this won't move around on us. This is done. We just tucked the corners in and finished gluing them. And tomorrow I'll put the cat whisker on, you know, put the button, snap, do everything, and install that on the car. And then tomorrow I'll finish gluing this up, and I'll get that panel, this one, ready to glue. And get that done, and the back seat can go back in permanently, because I can put the seat belts in, which I'm just really super happy with how they cleaned up and came out. So now I only need to think, the front ones might be faded. I don't know. I might have to replace the belting on the front ones, or we'll see how they clean up. Maybe they will clean up. You can see they're kind of, I don't know. We'll give them a try in cleaning them up. These ones look pretty hideous, and they look like brand spanking new, so I think we're going to be good with it. But anyway, before I run out of battery and memory card, I'm going to call it a day. If you like the video, hit the like button, it'll help. If you want to subscribe, hit that 348 engine icon, and thank you again for watching my videos.